am Barbara Armentrout of BJA Solutions, and I'm delighted to once again welcome this terrific trio for the final segment of our conversations on AI for consultants. This three-part podcast is part of a Helping Hands program where experts share consultant-to-consultant tips, guidance, and some emotional support for colleagues in the association community. We hope viewers caught episode 1 on AI for everyday work and episode 2 on policies and practices. They are available on YouTube and they are stored in the ASAE Collaborate Consultants Community Library. Say that 3 times quickly. So let's meet our panel today. I want to begin by congratulating Sherry Budziak on being named 2026 Association Industry Partner by CEO Update. You can congrat her in person at the Salute to Excellence in DC in March. But tell us a little more about yourself, Sherry.
Well, thanks so much, Barbara. I'm Sherry Budziak. I'm the founder and CEO of .org Source. So we help associations and nonprofits with organizational strategy, technology strategy, and AI adoption. So we like to say that we support organizations from the boardroom to the server room. So to keep it short.
Fabulous. Well, thanks and congrats to Laura Caputo on becoming executive advisor to the COO at Pinnacle Live, the fastest growing AV company in America, serving as a linchpin between hospitality and events. I made that up, but I think it's accurate. I know you contribute you can continue to consult with and provide services to associations in that role. Anything else we should know about your busy life?
I think that just in the time that since we started doing this podcast to now, what I have done has evolved. Just like AI, everything's changing every day. So the more we develop and learn and adjust and adapt, the better for everyone. So as far as for me, yes, I still serve associations. What is amazing about associations is the community that we share. So I'm always going to be a part of it. However, I can support the advancement of the different missions. I love it. At the same time, my new role is pretty cool. And check out Pinnacle Live audiovisual production across the country at over 200 properties. Got to say it.
Fabulous. Thank you. And our thanks once again to Cecilia Sepp for donating your Rogue Tulips podcast setup for us. And also congrats on reaching season 8 of Radio Free 501c podcast. Why am I not speaking well today? And in addition to your CAE prep courses, I think you and Michael Butera are about to launch a new learning course on the Lead Forward initiative.
Oh.
You want to tell us a little bit about that and anything more in your busy life?
Sure. Yes. Well, hi, everybody. If we haven't met or you haven't heard of me, I'm Cecilia Supp, and I'm a CAE, an ACNP, and an LPEC. And I am the principal and founder of Rogue Tulips Consulting. And as Barbara said, I offer courses to help people get ready for CAE exam. We also offer an ethics course that's been updated every year since we started in 2019. So we have our new 2026 edition out and ready to go. And Michael Butera of Association Activision developed this wonderful self-guided course that also includes office hours and one-on-one time with Michael and Cheryl Ronk, who is the co-facilitator of the course. It's part of our Lead Forward Initiative series. And the first course we're offering is Adaptive Leadership. And that is open and ready for you to check it out and sign up and learn from 2 of the best people in association management, Cheryl and Michael, who are longtime friends of mine as well. Some of the other things I do in addition to the podcast is I write a weekly blog. I have written a short book on chapter relations called Association Chapter Systems from Frustrating to Fruitful. And as far as consulting services, I work with organizations to help them make decisions, develop strategy, and develop their executive leadership.
Wow. So you can see why we've got these wonderful folks on our podcast today. So I want to do a quick look back at our first 2 episodes when we spoke about AI and day-to-day work as well as policies and practices, and just give you a moment to, if you had any additional thoughts or reflections you'd like to have added after we finish those podcasts. Or are we good to go?
People
I
just need to watch them. I thought they were great.
Well,
they're
100%, 100%. Okay, well, let's get going on today's theme, which is pretty cool, which is promoting our businesses as consultants to the association world. Well, actually, as anything we can do for billable hours, right? So some of us may have some fractional marketing help, but based on recent surveys, the majority of association consultants are small shops. So it requires discipline as much as any tools to divert time and energy away from billable hours. But if we don't, then we don't have billable hours. And sometimes we promote our appearances through online and in person where we deliver content. And again, that takes time to refine it for each individual audience. So, Sherry, I have a question for you. Do you think consultants need to worry that using AI to create marketing materials might hurt our brands by creating messaging that might feel inauthentic? What's the line for you between using AI for efficiency versus feeling like you're outsourcing your voice or your brand?
Well, Barbara, I really look at this as kind of we've always used tools, right? I mean, and we've
Mm-hmm.
always used, you just mentioned even contractors. So I used to have a ghostwriter, editors, proofreaders. We use tools and templates and
Mm-hmm.
research assistants. So I just see AI as kind of the newest tool in that chain. And so the question that I would ask isn't is it, should we be using AI as a tool, but how we're going to make sure that we still own our ideas and our voice and that accountability. I mean, when I might outsource something to, say, a marketing intern, I'm not just going to publish that. Like, I'm going to make sure that I'm massaging it to be in my voice or whatever that might be. So it's I mean, I think the tools just allow us to do a lot more actually for a reduced cost. I'll give you an example. So this week I was writing a white paper. So I started writing this white paper. It's a discussion around AI and some guidelines and things like this. And then I sent it to my marketing team and I said, "Who has time to design this?" Well, everybody's busy doing six other things because AI is going so fast. I keep moving things their way. So then I went back into ChatGPT and I said, design it. And then I'm at like version 15 right now. But then this morning I took it from that and I threw it into Gamma. And so
Mm.
now I've got a product. It's not 100%, but it's 80% there that now I can give it to the design team and say, hey, can you guys finish this up? Make it in our brand, our colors. Yes, I don't like how it did this, that, whatever. But now we just took, days worth of work down to maybe 2 or 3 hours. So anyway, I know that was a long answer to your question,
No, it's a
but I
great,
just see it as another tool in the toolbox, frankly.
yeah. Yeah, and Laura or Cecilia? Yeah, Laura, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, for anybody who doesn't know what Gamma is, Gamma AI is a great AI tool for creating presentations. It's much better than, your basic ChatGPTs and things like that because it's trained on this, so always whatever it's trained on, it's going to be the best at. I actually have thousands of credits in Gamma AI because when I talk on AI, I recommend it. So people have all clicked my link and I could go on Gamma all day with how many credits I can use on that thing. So it's very good. I highly recommend. And just to continue further on what Sherry was saying, really, I was talking last night with my husband. My husband's a YouTuber, and he was looking at some people's content. And I have a friend who has their podcast and their YouTube channel, and I know he pays people to doctor his content, make it bite-sized, things like that. And my husband, he's looking at this as a YouTuber, and he's like, "This sucks." he's like, "What is this person even trying to say?" So you could pay somebody who might be using an AI tool to to create this content, and it could still be bad. You have to own it. You have to put in the effort to make it you. Like there's still so much to that of putting in the effort to making content, whatever you put out there, you. And yes, we don't have time. We're all too busy. But remember when AI didn't exist, we did this before.
Mhm.
So we have the time. We've just created this like lie to ourselves that we don't. But you gotta make this time to make these things you.
Beautiful. Cecilia, do you ever use it for case studies or
No,
anything, client stories?
no.
No?
I'm
Okay.
just going to say that right off the bat. No. Our
Okay.
policy is we are huge fans of Google Gemini. At least that's my personal tool of choice. It's my assistant, it's my research assistant, it's my personal shopper. I've been using it since it was Google Bod in beta testing. I think they've really advanced a lot. They've added a lot of generative tools, but I do not use AI tools for generative work. So no writing, no designing, nothing. What I do use it for, though, is what I think it's intended for, which is helping with research, helping with editing. So, for example, if I've done 12 qualitative interviews, I will review all of them and then I will load them into Google Gemini and say, hey, review all 12 of these and tell me what you find that's similar and then what's different. And then it spits out a report in a couple of minutes. But I also am very clear to my clients that that's what I've
Mhm.
done. I say, after I've reviewed it, I've had Google Gemini look at it, and then I do the analysis. All it does is pull out tidbits and interesting info that I may have found myself in 6 or 7 hours. So I do like it
Mhm.
for that. And I think it's building what Sherry was saying on tools and what Laura was saying about tools. It's really the intention of the user and how you use it. Because, for example, you can use a hammer to build something, or you can use a hammer to break a window.
Yeah.
It's the same tool, but how are you using it? And I think that's what we have to keep top of mind with AI tools.
Well, and one use that I have found is, in the old, not in the old days, like 20 minutes ago, we would do word clouds, of all the things that people are saying in a session, and we would do the word, what is the one thing rising to the top? I have used it a couple of times to review what is my work that I do for my clients. What does my consulting picture look like? Because I think I know it, but how come I have trouble with my elevator pitch? Um, and I had it help me with things like an elevator pitch because it's completely non-judgmental. And it came up with lots and lots of suggestions, some of which made me laugh out loud. You think I do that? But everybody needs a laugh in their day. But it got my juices flowing in that way. And, how can I promote my services better kind of thing. And it's actually built on the truth because I told it what the truth was. Um, Is there any balance? I mean, Sherry, I think you touched on this between
See,
the
Laura
AI
has.
generated
Yeah,
drafts.
I want to add
Yeah.
something else to that. So women in general, we have this a thing that we're not really always the best at tooting our own horn, right? And saying, I'm doing all this
Amen,
awesome stuff.
sister.
So this is just another tool you could use of just saying, okay, you know all the work that I'm doing.
Hmm.
What am I doing? It feels good. It's a good
Hmm.
exercise too. Just if for your own self-esteem,
A
it's just going
facial
in
for
there
my
and
business.
yeah, yeah.
I like
So,
that.
so as far as promoting your business, it's just thinking about the work you do and being positive about it, getting more confident. You never would have thought about it that way, but that is an exercise you can do with AI.
Hmm. And Sherry, you mentioned earlier the number of drafts you had gone through between AI generated drafts, Sherry generated drafts, and then the human voice to be part of the final product. Do you have any suggestions on that, or is it similar to what we've been saying? It's just until you know your voice is there.
So I would reframe that a little bit differently. I think, like with that example, it's really starting with my thoughts and my voice. But then when I was getting into design, like it was not on brand. That was my point. Like it wasn't on brand. And so
Yeah.
it's an iterative process. So I said, no, we need to add this and here's the logo. I didn't think I was going down that rabbit hole, honestly. So like if I had to reverse it, I have custom agents. I would have used like our brand guidelines and run it through there, but I was just playing around with the tools to see what it could produce because we had a capacity issue. And it was just because there's days that it's fascinating as much as we're all in the tools and probably especially Laura and I when we're showing people other tools and doing that sort of training. Just one day you could be like, I could never do that in that tool, and the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, or thinking about it even in a different way. Like I was using a tool that I started with, but then this morning I was like, oh, I can run this through Gamma and then create a document out of that, and then we go from there. So,
Mm-hmm.
so it's you do have to put a lot of thought into knowing what even tools to use or how you can take something and get it to the next whatever next level. So in this example, like it was a design thing. Now I'm not a designer. I don't claim to be a designer. That's why probably the output from the AI isn't as good as like my design team could do. So I think that's one place that I caution people sometimes is like I could come up with an idea for an app and I could use a tool to create an app. Well, it's going to give me something that's 70%. I don't know what to do with it. I would still
Mm-hmm.
have to give it to somebody else, like to say, okay, here's a concept, here's a prototype. Now get a computer science, somebody with a computer science background to actually build it. Um, so I think where some of the discussion and probably the reason for the question maybe is you still need to be a subject matter expert in a thing, I think, right now to make sure that you're getting an end product that's a good end product, and not just taking whatever you're getting out of AI and throwing it to a client or on the
Yeah.
internet or things like that.
Well, and
Well,
if
you
I
know,
respond to that,
yeah.
what Sherry just said, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the key right there. And that is where AI tools are going to undermine true consulting, is that people are going to just take whatever that first or second
They could
is.
undermine true consulting
Well,
only if we let it.
but
Yeah.
but it will if we don't be careful, is kind of
Correct.
the point.
Yeah.
Because what we have to keep in mind is let's not just grab that first draft. We do have to look at it. It's like if Sherry used a really good example of an intern. You're not just going to use what the intern gave you, right? You're going to
Perfect.
review
Yeah.
it and then you're going to look at it. And I think, and again, like any tool, what we need to emphasize is how are we using that tool and what are our own guidelines going to be?
Excellent. Well, and it's an interesting segue to a topic I was going to do a moment later, but let's go now. Mistakes, because we all learn from mistakes. Um, Laura, you mentioned you had an oops moment you were willing to share.
I do. So I actually reached out to a friend because she told me about this a couple months ago, and I was like, "Can I share that? I won't tell you, but tell the company." So this is a real thing that happened. One of my friends was doing some marketing consulting work for a, let's say, pet food supplement company. Okay. This pet food supplement company is very proud that it does not include certain ingredients in said pet food. So when she was working with AI, she was putting in the ingredients as these are the bad ingredients. We do not have them. The next conversation to generate a blog post that was eventually going to be on the website and published in a magazine included those ingredients that are not supposed to be there.
Oh no.
She didn't pay attention. Speaking of what Cecilia just said, the client who reviewed it didn't pay attention. And it
Oof.
ended up getting published in a
Oh,
magazine that they're including these ingredients that they do not actually include and online. So it's that specific thing of paying attention. Your intern, your AI intern is not perfect. And if you're not looking at these details, that things like this will happen and are happening. So
wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why I always say you just with everything else, you need to have editorial review. Like and you need to own, at the end of the day, whatever you're producing, you need to own it. So this applies, to a lot of associations. I'm like, just don't take whatever you're producing and say this is a fact. Make sure that you have, if you're doing research, that you know where that research is coming from. That the just like the internet, right? We don't just take things off the internet and, well, some people do
Well, yeah.
and say it's fact, right? Like,
Try not to.
I mean, some people do. So it's that, on steroids, really. So, I guess think about it that way.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Oh,
Anybody else have any other mistakes to share?
oh, mistakes. I've had a few.
Or learning moments? Yes, let's call them learning moments. Yes.
Well, I'm very cautious in the use of AI. Uh, I think my big problem is when AI interferes with us trying to do our work because we're already in a distracted world that's very noisy. And so when you're writing, like Sherry mentioned, she was writing a white paper, you're writing in Word, or maybe, Laura's writing something for a blog for her client that she's working with now. And it's like, it just keeps popping up. What about this? Oh, what would you like to say this? And you lose your train of thought. And I think that's something we need to be aware of because if the tool itself is distracting us, then that's going to lead us to make mistakes. And we have to be very cautious about that. I love spell check. I love grammar check. I love it that it reminds me I have it set to Chicago Manual of Style. But when it starts getting in the way of me doing the work, that's what I don't like. And I have mentioned that before. I've actually written a blog post about it, about Clippy the paperclip. We all remember Clippy the paperclip, who could also be a puppy. But it was just very annoying and distracting. And I think that's really where we have to be aware that you can change the settings on these tools and you can make those tools work for you and not you work for the tool. And I think sometimes that's where people get aggressively against AI because I think sometimes it comes across as like it's trying to make you work for it. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. But I think what we really
Although
need,
some of our interns have that attitude also.
well, this is true, but I think the approach we need to take is we need to be thoughtful and careful about how we use any tool, not, including our mouse. I mean, we say stuff accidentally we don't mean to. So we need to be careful with any tool that we're using and be thoughtful about it. It's like, I remember when social media first became a thing and everybody completely melted down and panicked. And I'm like, what? It's just like broadcast facts. What is the problem? So to me, this is not the end of the world. It's not the end of anybody's profession or anybody's job, but we do have to have a thoughtful approach to how we're integrating all these tools into the work we're doing.
Well,
Cecilia,
I'll make.
Sorry. As you said that last week, Kevin, my business partner, and I were doing some training at AI training at a client's office, and the CEO came up with or asked that specific question. He goes, "Well, Sherry, what do I do when it keeps asking me questions, and then now I've gone down this whole other thread?" I was like, "Don't answer it." I was like, "It's okay. If you got what you wanted, just stop."
It's like somebody told me a few weeks ago social media was making them depressed. And I said, well, maybe you're spending too much time on it.
Yeah.
This is why there's screen time limits. No one uses them. Yeah, so that's really funny with the whole continuing to go down the rabbit hole with, your with chat or whatever tool you're using. Because my husband is somebody that responds and says if things are good when he's doing these conversations, whereas I don't. And I know that you probably should say if something is good so it knows that you're going in that direction, but I don't always do that. I'm done. I'm moving on. So I probably could, but it knows me. I've been working so long with it. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to say regarding using new tools, like let's say you pick up a new tool or you don't know how to use a new tool and you're overwhelmed. One of the things I like to do is go to my assistant of choice and say, I'm about to use this tool. Give me a prompt to do what I want to do in this other tool. So
cool.
I like, yeah. So the other day for example, Sora, let's say you're having fun making AI slop and making a silly video. I have a friend had a dream and I was like, oh, let me make your dream into a video. And I went into in ChatGPT and said, this is my friend's dream. Make this dream. Tell me the prompt to use in Sora so it's really cinematic and cool. And then it gave me this really lovely prompt, put it into Sora, put it in there, and then the video was fantastic. So it's just something you can do, another little tool for everybody if they haven't done that before.
I was just imagining like you could pit Claude against Sora. like get them talking about each other.
People are probably doing it already.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
in our
funny.
last few minutes, do we have any other tools like that we want to share? And Laura, I want you to show the folks the mug that you are drinking from right now,
I'll
because
need this.
I think all consultants need one of these.
All right, an Ember mug. It is a self-forming mug. Yes, it does have a little charger to stay hot. You pick your temperature of choice. It could be like black coffee, green tea, whatever, and it'll stay at that specific temperature as long as it's charged. So you can walk away
Cold
forever.
martini.
Hey, however you like your drink.
Wow.
I think they're on sale right now, so go check it out, amber.com. I get nothing.
Wow. I need one of those. I'm one of those people who pours a cup of coffee, puts it down, and walks away and starts doing something else. So I definitely need
It
that.
was hot when I poured it, but not when I started it.
Yeah. And that's like, what happened to my coffee? Anyway.
Any other tools that we want to share with folks for how they can promote their businesses more efficiently? And I do want to mention that these tools, I mean, the parallel that occurred to me was years ago, one of my association leaders was going to be her first time she was going to spend any significant time on stage, bought a beautiful new pair of high heel shoes, and they were gorgeous. And they fit her very nicely for the first hour or two.
Mm-hmm.
But when she told me in the morning that, she was breaking in these new shoes, and I thought, this is the first time you're wearing them today, and you're doing it in public for how many hours? So AI is just like that. You don't put your things out in public the first time you're trying to use them. You break things in, you find out how they're going to work before you reveal yourselves publicly. Only I would use it with shoes because, I'm a shoe person. But are there any other tools that we want to share with folks?
Well, I think it's not so much a new tool because, as I've said, I'm a huge fan of Google Gemini. It does a lot of things. I've seen it evolve since it was Google Bard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what we need to keep in mind is that I've just completely lost my train of thought about what I was going to say. Oh, I know what it is. So we have all the new tools. That's what I was going to say. You got me thinking about shoes, Barbara. And then like, ooh, because I just was like an all-day MC at a conference at the end of January. Anyway, point being, when we're looking at these tools, I know a lot of people are really committed to ChatGPT for a lot of reasons. You have to do a lot of programming. You have to get the paid version. You have to do a lot of work on it to make it work. And so therefore you may feel like I have to stick with ChatGPT. But as we're going along, there's so many more tools now. There's Claude, there's Sora, there's Gamma, there's Google Gemini, and who knows what that'll evolve into. And so I've been thinking a lot over the last year about web crawler, which was one of the browsers until the Google algorithm came along.
Mm-hmm.
And now Google is a verb. And most people don't even know what web crawler was. So I think we also have to keep in mind that some of these AI tools that we're using today that are of the moment are going to be set aside, maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to keep that in mind too. And we should learn about all these other AI tools because we need to understand what they're doing, how they're doing it, and know that we may need to let go of a tool that we have been using and maybe put a lot of time and effort into.
Well, I remember a few years ago at an FSAE event, Beth Zazinas, most people know her as my nerdy best friend,
Yeah.
taught us that go ahead and use all of these tools that are out there, but if it's a free tool, be aware it might not exist tomorrow. So just realize
Laura,
that.
Laura, you're on mute.
I have a couple I can
Good.
actual tools. All right. So one for fun, this is askoptimo.com. So I recommended this at a session I did last year, and their focus is more along the lines of SEO, so search engine optimization. So there's a lot of marketing tools, but there are fun, free things in there like email generator for angry messages, just fun things to get people to look at their stuff, and SLP generators, things like that. So that one's fun. A lot of it is free, but probably ultimately they want you to get their
Repeat the name.
SEO. It's askoptimo.com, OPTIMO.
Thank you.
Another one I really like that would be helpful generally is called Guide, but it's guidde.com. And guide is to help you kind of record what you do. That way, let's say you are hiring an assistant or a part-time person to help you with something. If you show them how you do it by video, it is a lot easier to train. And Guide just screen grabs and records everything for you and creates these AI generated videos that are pretty good. So
Hmm.
I really like Guide. So
Wow.
guidde.com.
Excellent.
Very nice. That would be great for onboarding.
Yeah. Sherry, do you have any to toss in quickly?
Um, I'll just follow up on the comment about, all the different tools. I think we're all learning kind of what's out there like every day. There's a website actually called that there's an AI for that. I think
Mm.
Laura mentioned it on the first episode as well. And the one thing last week I was talking about the training this association got a product. It was called hats, which we had never heard of, and you could actually use multiple LLMs, so you had access to chat, Claude, Gemini, all of the different LLMs, so you could
Hmm.
actually put a prompt in and see how each one of them would respond differently. So that was interesting.
That's
um,
hats, H-A-T-S.
HATZ hats.
Ah, okay.
um, but it has a whole bunch of different subscriptions. And then it was funny or not funny. I was going through, it's tax season for all of us, right? So I was going through the books with my bookkeeper, and they're like, "How did this subscription line basically double in the last year?" And I was like, "Ooh." So I do think we have to watch. I don't use any free tools. Um, and so my accountant is like, I said,
You
"Can
know,
you
is it
send me
anything?
that list and let me take a look at it?" Because as you're moving along, it's like $10 here, $20 here,
Yeah.
$100 here, whatever. And the next thing you know, you've got a huge expense on your book. So I would just caution that. That's not a direct answer. But now, we're playing around with Nano Banana, doing design stuff, and some of it's just silly, and some of it's, I don't know. It, I don't know. It's just, it
Well, it's just, and I
is.
love some of the names though, like nano bananas. Like you have no idea what that means, but it does wonderful images.
It
Yeah,
sounds like
like
fun.
I have
Yeah.
a subscription of Mid-Journey, but I don't know if people like need that. It's just, and the funny thing too is that I had sometimes again the people I can't get a product that I want out of Mid-Journey like other people on the team can. But I'm going to use your
Mm.
trick, Laura, like asking it, "This is how I want it to produce," and get the prompt and then put it in.
Yeah, such a
Um,
great idea.
so, but again, people with that kind of design thinking, expertise, they're getting
Mhm.
great, product out of like Midjourney and stuff. So, it all just takes time. It's, you got to, I think, really think about what are you doing. So, do you have a regular like LinkedIn post and you just need content and images and pick a tool for that? Or you're doing research, and with research, like I personally, I use Perplexity.
Mhm.
That's kind of my tool. If you're wanting just to take, Cecilia, I don't know if you've tried it, but in your, when you're saying like what you're using to get that research and get feedback on that, I would actually use Notebook LM. So there isn't one tool either, but think about what are those key things that you need done, and then try to find what that right tool is. Or I guess, message me or Laura or somebody, and maybe we can help you out.
Well, and I appreciate the offer because I know all these great people who know all these tools. And as a solopreneur with a very full schedule, that's why I've really been focusing on learning how the best way to use Google Gemini. Although I do go out and check out these other tools from time to time because I do think it's important to know what's going on out there and understand it. But I do think the sincerity of our work is always going to come from us, no matter what tool we're using.
Well, I was going to ask for closing thoughts, and I think you just shared one, which is perfect. We have all these great tools we can use, but just like all the other ones we've had over the years. Laura, do you have closing thoughts? Something you want to be sure people remember as they go forward and conquer their audience?
As consultants that serve associations, I think we can all agree that we believe in lifelong learning. That's one of the
Ah,
things we always do.
well said.
So this is just part of that process of making sure that we are up to date on what's going to best serve our clients and ourselves for the future. So take that time, whether it's 10, 20 minutes a week, it matters and it'll help you and you'll be ahead of most people.
Well said. Sherry.
Well, I'll just kind of wrap us back kind of where we started with, I think we have to own our point of view,
Mhm.
verify things, verify what matters, and really make sure that we're protecting the client and the client data.
Mhm.
So I kind of see it as I'm comfortable using AI for speed, but not necessarily for truth, at least not yet.
I couldn't agree more. Well, and I want to thank each of you for taking the time and again for being willing to share your toys with the group. It's such a perfect opportunity for people to get to know you better if for any reason they don't already know you well. This episode will be shared on ASAE Collaborate and stored in the consultant library. I think it's also available, it will be available on YouTube, so you can find it there. Although you've already found it if you're watching this, so why am I even saying that? There you go, Barbara. Um,
Because people can share it with their friends and colleagues.
Thank you. Yes, you saved me. See, consultants always help each other. I love that. Okay, and my closing thought is just to remember to always keep imagining what's possible and then go forth and do it in your own voice. Thank you, ladies.